everyone. My name is Dr. Olena Edwards-Skidowska, and I'm a psychotherapist who specializes in digital wellness. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I have a confession to make. I've checked my Instagram 3 times while preparing this script about social media addiction. The irony is not lost on me, and yes, I'm questioning all my life choices right now. But seriously, today we are talking about the psychology behind social media addiction, why our brains are basically no match for these apps, and why you are not weak for struggling with this. You're just a human with a smartphone, which honestly is a dangerous combination. So let's start with what's happening in our brain when we are scrolling. And spoiler alert, it's not pretty. Social media platforms are designed, and I mean designed, to hijack your brain's reward system. Every time you get a like, a comment, or even just see something mildly interesting, your brain releases dopamine. And it's the same chemical that gets released when you eat chocolate, have sex, or win big money. Basically, your brain thinks scrolling through TikTok is an equivalent to finding food when you are starving. Which explains why I can watch someone making a delicious meal for 20 minutes and feel deeply satisfied. The problem is this creates what we call intermittent reinforcement. You never know when you'll get that next dopamine hit again. It's like a slot machine, but instead of losing money, you're losing time, sleep, and probably your ability to focus on anything for more than 30 seconds. So here is the kicker. The companies know this. And literally, they have teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists working to make their apps more and more addictive. So if you are struggling, you are not battling your own willpower. You are battling a multi-million-dollar algorithm designed by some of the smartest people in the world to keep you scrolling. Now, let's talk about why social media feels so emotionally necessary. And this is where it gets really interesting from a psychological perspective. Humans have a fundamental need for validation and social connection. It's literally hardwired into our survival instincts. Back in the caveman days, being accepted by your tribe meant the difference between life and death, literally. Get kicked out of the group, good luck surviving those saber-toothed tigers alone. Fast forward to today, and our brains haven't evolved to understand that getting 12 likes instead of 50 doesn't actually mean we are about to be eaten by a tiger. Our nervous system responds like it does. So when you post something and it doesn't get the engagement that you expected, your brain literally interprets this as a social rejection. And social rejection activates the same pain centers in your brain as physical pain. This is neuroscientist Dr. Dan Siegel. So that's right. Being left on red literally hurts the same way as stubbing your toe. Except emotional pain doesn't have the courtesy to fade after a few minutes of hopping around and cursing and maybe swearing. This is why you find yourself obsessively checking how many people viewed your story or why you delete posts that don't get enough likes. So your brain is trying to protect you from social rejection, but it's using Stone Age software in a digital world. I hope it makes sense. If it does, please keep listening. And then there's a comparison trap. Oh, the comparison trap. This is where social media becomes less like a slot machine and more like a 24/7 highlight reel of everyone else's perfect life. Here is what happens. You are scrolling through Instagram, feeling pretty good about your Tuesday, and then bam, someone posts about their promotion, their perfect relationship, their amazing vacation, or their homemade sourdough that actually looks edible. So suddenly, your perfectly fine Tuesday feels like quite ordinary, or even worse, like a failure. You are comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and that's just not fair to your brain. It's like comparing your rough draft to someone else's published novel. Of course, you are going to feel inadequate. No one posts about their mental breakdown in the grocery store because they couldn't find their favorite cereal. But trust me, we've all been there, including us therapists. This constant comparison triggers what we call compare and despair, a cycle where you compare yourself to others, feel worse about yourself, and then seek more validation through social media, which leads to more and more comparison. It's like emotional quicksand. And here is this thing that really gets me as a therapist. Social media makes us feel simultaneously more connected and more isolated than ever before. You can have 1,000 followers and still feel completely alone, because knowing what someone had for breakfast is not the same as genuine human connection. Let's talk about FOMO, fear of missing out, because honestly, social media has turned FOMO into a full-time job. FOMO is basically your brain's way of saying, but what if something amazing is happening right now and I'm not there? It's the reason why you check your phone every few minutes, even when you know there's probably nothing new. Your brain is convinced that if you don't check Instagram in the next 5 minutes, you might miss the most important thing in the world, which is ridiculous because, let's be honest, the most important thing that's ever happened on Instagram is probably a new cat video, and trust me, it will still be there later. But FOMO is sneaky. It makes you feel like you are staying connected and informed when really you are just staying anxious and distracted. It's like having a very needy friend who constantly texts you about nothing important, but you feel obligated to respond immediately, just in case. The antidote to FOMO, by the way, is JOMO, joy of missing out. It's about recognizing that you can't be everywhere and do everything, and that's actually a good thing. Sometimes the most important thing happening is right in front of you, not on your phone. Now, there's something that might make you a little angry, and honestly, it should. You are not the customer of these social media platforms, you are the product. Your attention is literally being sold to advertisers. Every scroll, every click, every second you spend on these apps is being monetized. They're not providing you with a free service out of the goodness of their hearts. They're harvesting your attention and selling it to the highest bidder. It's like someone invited you to a free party, but the whole time they were charging people to come and look at you. And you are just there, wondering why everyone is staring and why you suddenly feel so self conscious about your outfit. You feel abandoned and betrayed. You feel exposed. This is why these platforms are designed to be addictive. Your attention is valuable and they want as much of it as possible. They use techniques like infinite scroll, variable reward schedules, and social approval loops to keep you engaged. And here is the thing, there's nothing wrong with you for falling for it. These are multi-billion-dollar companies with teams of psychologists and data scientists working around the clock to capture your attention. You're not weak for being affected by that. You're just human. Okay, so if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, that's normal. The psychology behind social media addiction is pretty intense when you really look at it. But here is the good news. Understanding why this happens is the first step to changing it. You are not broken, you're not weak, and you are definitely not alone in this struggle. The solution isn't to throw your phone in the ocean and become a hermit. Though, honestly, some days that sounds very tempting. It's about creating intentional boundaries, practicing digital mindfulness, and remembering that your worth isn't determined by your online engagement. Start small. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room while you are eating dinner. Maybe it's deleting one app that makes you feel consistently worse about yourself. Maybe it's just pausing before you pick up your phone and asking yourself, what am I looking for right now? Remember, every time you choose to be present instead of scrolling, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are teaching it that real life is more interesting than the digital world. And trust me, it is. Your brain is increasingly adaptable. The same neuroplasticity that got you hooked on social media can help you break free from it. It just takes time, patience, and a lot of self compassion. So, there you have it. The psychology behind social media addiction in all its complicated glory. If you found this helpful, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you are ready to start reclaiming your digital well being, check out my other videos this week about digital detox science, mindful phone use, and setting boundaries that actually work. And hey, if you share this video, I promise I won't judge you for the irony of using social media to spread awareness about social media addiction. We are all just doing our best here. Take care of yourselves. And remember, you are in control of your relationship with technology, not the other way around. See you next week.